Yo, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to the video for Elden Ring. My name is Ventus, and in this Elden Ring video guide, I'm gonna give you my top 4 best dual wield classes that work for pretty much any boss fight in Elden Ring. Now, really quickly, if you're new here, do me a huge favor and sub to the channel for Elden Ring guides and built-in gameplay, and also like the video. Let's try to reach a like goal of 20 this time. Now, if you see something in this video that you don't have on your current playthrough, there is a 98% chance that I already have a guide here on this channel for how to get it. So head to my Elden Ring playlist and I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. And if not, come back here and let me know in the comments and I'll make a guide for it ASAP. All right, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first build is the dual wield Bandit's blood curved sword, and I've got both of them at plus 25. The reason why this weapon is so good because it has a natural blood loss buildup, especially if you put the Ash of War for Bloodhound Step on it. Bloodhound Step is an Ash of War that allows you essentially to teleport out of danger, skill that allows the user to become temporarily invisible while dodging at high speed, moves faster and travels further than regular quickstep. This skill can be used to circle around on locked-on targets. Ash of War can be set to the blood affinity to give it an arcane scaling. For the rest of the build, I use the Dragon Communion Seal plus 10 because it has an arcane scaling. For gear armor, I wear the white mask because the white mask has the ability to slightly raise attack power when blood loss is nearby. I go with the Rakshasa armors for the rest of the pieces simply because the Rakshasa armor has the ability to increase damage, but also increase damage taken by the wearer. But I do enjoy that increased damage. For my talisman, I use the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia to greatly raise attack power with successive attacks. The Godskin Swaddling Cloth to successive attacks restore HP. And the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, blood loss in the vicinity increases attack power. And then for defensive talisman, I go with the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. Enormously boosts physical damage negation. For my Flask of Wondrous Physic, I go with the Opaline Hard tier to temporarily boost all damage negation, and the Thorny Crack tier to temporarily boost successive attack power. And for my Spirit Ashes, I go with the Mimic tier plus 10, so it can mimic me and deal incredible amounts of damage without me having to really do anything. The incantations I use with this build are Golden Vow to increase attack and defense for myself and allies, Flame Grant Me Strength to raise physical and fire affinity attack power, Giant's Flame Take D to hurl a massive ball of raging fire, and the Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike to summon red lightning that spreads from impact. And the way that I have my attributes allocated for this build, the vigor doesn't really matter too much with this build because I put all the extra stats that I'm not using for this build into my health. So health could realistically be at like 60 or 70. My mind is going to be at 40, so I can use Bloodhound Step as much as possible. My endurance is at 50, so I can keep doing those jump attacks with the dual wield blades to get quick blood loss buildup in whatever I'm fighting. My strength is going to be at 12 because I don't use strength with this build, but my dexterity is at 60 because I do use dexterity quite a deal when using dual wield blades. Intelligence is at 9 because you don't use intelligence with this build. Faith is at 30, so I can use my 2 incantations for buffing, and then my fate or my arcane is going to be at 60, so I can have the maximum blood loss buildup. Alright, so the way that I use this build in combat is I just try to jump and spam the dual wield attack as much as possible because you hit like 8 or 9 times with this thing, and the more times that you can hit consecutively with this build, the more damage you're going to build up. And because I have on a couple of items that depend on successive hits, like my Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, that gives me more damage with successive hits, and then I've got this Godskin Swaddling Cloth that with successive hits restore HP, and then over on my Mixed Wondrous Physic, the Thorny Crack tier, it just depends on getting those successive attacks, and the more I do that, the more damage I'm going to incur my enemy, the quicker they become staggered, and the more damage they just take overall. So that's pretty much going to be it. When just going through and just fighting random like levels, I'll rely on the fireball as much as possible. Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike is pretty much only there whenever I fight something very, very strong. Now, another thing about this build too that I really enjoy is the Bloodhound Step Ash of War, so I can just sort of get out of the way as much as possible when fighting really strong enemies that just have ridiculous attacks. I don't have to really sit there and fight them. I can just dodge out of the way without having to rely on my roll. Alright, so this is a dual wield katana build using two uchigatanas. One is going to be set to the blood affinity using the Ash of War for seppuku, and the other one is set to the frost affinity using the Ash of War for chilling mist is coat armament and frost, and then slash spreading frigid mist forwards. The armament retains its frost for a while. So to make this build work, you're going to have to first put chilling frost or chilling mist on your offhand katana, and then switch back to dual wield, and then use the seppuku on the second katana. So that way when you attack with both these katanas, you're hitting with a blood loss katana and a chilling mist katana that builds up frost and blood loss at the same time. You don't really have to do dual wield jump attacks with these katanas as much as you have to do just regular dual wield attacks like that. For my seal, I'm using the Dragon Communion seal, and I got that at plus 10. For my gear, I've got the white mask. Slightly raises attack power when there's blood loss in the vicinity. Then I've got the Rakshasa armor for the armor, gauntlets, and greaves. Basically, it just increases damage dealt to foes, but if I get hit, I take more damage. This is the DLC armor. And then for my insignia, we've got the Rotten Wing Sword insignia. Greatly raises attack power with successive attacks. Lord of Blood's Exaltation raises attack power when blood loss occurs in the vicinity. The Claw Talisman increases jump attacks. And then the Dragon Crest Shield Talisman. When it comes for incantations for this build, I use the Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, Giant's Flame Take Thee, and Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike. In my Mixed Wondrous Physic, I've got the Opaline Hard tier. It temporarily boosts all damage negation. And then the Thorny Crack tier to make consecutive attacks grow stronger in the Mixed Physic. The way that I have my attribute points allocated is my Vigor. It's the only thing that's really kind of doesn't make sense with this build because my level is a little bit too high. So I've got my Vigor up to 83. Realistically, it can be around 55 to 60. My mind is going to be at 25 because I don't really need to use a whole lot of FP with this build while I'm fighting bosses. Endurance is at 55 so I can get as many consecutive attacks as possible. Strength is at 12 because you don't use strength with this build. Dexterity is at 55 because I do use a lot of dexterity with this build. Intelligence is going to be at 40 because I do want to build up a little bit of frost with that chilling mist katana. My faith is at 30 so I can use those two buff incantations, and then my arcane is going to be at 55 to help that blood loss build up. Alright, so in this build, I'm using the dual wield Godskin Peeler, arguably one of the strongest, or if not the strongest, twin blade. Alright, so I've got both of them set with the Ash of War for seppuku, gives it a blood loss buildup of 137. The way that you do this is you do the offhand one first, attach it or activate the Ash of War for seppuku, and then you put the other one in the regular hand, and then you do that with the second one. So now you have both of them with seppuku, so they both do crazy amounts of damage and blood loss buildup. I'm using the Dragon Communion seal. I've got the white mask for more attack power when blood loss is nearby. I've got the Rakshasa armor set to increase damage dealt to foes but increase damage taken, but I don't intend on ever taking any damage. For my talisman, I've got the Rotten Wing Sword insignia to increase attack power with successive attacks. Lord of Blood's Exaltation to raise attack power when blood loss occurs in the vicinity. The Claw Talisman to enhance jump attacks, and this is absolutely necessary with this build. And then the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman again for my defensive talisman. For my Flask of Wondrous Physic, we've got the Opaline Hard tier to boost all damage negation, and the Stone Barb Crack tier temporarily makes stance breaking easier. Actually, no, that's not supposed to be that. That is supposed to be Thorny Crack tier. The incantations that I'm using for this build, the Blessing of the Erd Tree gives you healing over time. We've got Golden Vow to increase attack and defense. And then Flame Grant Me Strength to raise physical and fire affinity attack power. And then for my attack spells, Giant's Flame Take Thee and Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike. The way that I got my attribute points allocated, Vigor, again, it's at 90, doesn't need to be that high. 60 works just fine, maybe even 50 if you know you're not going to get hit. For my mind, I've got 35 because I'm going to use a couple of spells, incantations. Endurance is going to be at 50. Strength is at 17 because this build needs a 17 to use the Godskin pillars, but I use dexterity with this build, so dexterity is going to be at 55. Intelligence is 9 because you don't use intelligence. Faith is at 38, so I can use all of the incantations that I want to use with this build. And then my arcane is going to be at 57 this time. Alright, so this build uses Eleonora's poleblade dual wielded. You'll have to get it on your first run of the game, and then on your new game plus get a second copy of the weapon. I've got mine at plus 10. If you don't have another Eleonora's poleblade, you can use any other twin sword that'll work. Just set it with a Ash of War like Bloodhound Step or Seppuku, just something that can be set to blood affinity, and you can make this build work. For my gear, I've got White Mask to increase my attack power when blood loss is near, and then again I'm going back with the Rakshasa armor to increase my damage output but increase the damage taken, but I don't really take that much damage with this build. For my talisman, we're going to go back again with the Rod and Wing Sword insignia to increase attack power with successive attacks. Lord of Blood's Exaltation, raise attack power and blood losses in the vicinity. This time we're going to go with the Shard of Alexander to greatly boost the attack power of skills, so the Eleonora's poleblade skill can do as much damage as possible. And then the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. Now what's really good about this build with the Eleonora's poleblade is it has its unique skill that does this, and it's just basically you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can use the dual wield attack, which is great and builds up blood loss really quickly, because with both of them I have blood loss build up of 80, but really the poleblade attack, this thing is just insane. In my Mixed Wondrous Physic, I'm going to go with the Opaline Hard tier to boost all damage negation, and the Thorny Crack tier to boost excessive attack power. Incantations with this build: Golden Vow to increase attack and defense, then Flame Grant Me Strength raises fire and physical affinity attack power, Giant Flame Take Thee, and then Ancient's Dragon Lightning Strike for my attack spells. My attribute points are: my vigor is all the way up at 94, but realistically you can do this with a vigor of like 55 or 60. Mind is going to be at 45. It's a little bit higher, so I can kind of spam the Eleonora's poleblade attack. We've got endurance at 55. Strength is at 12. Don't use strength with this build. Dexterity at 55. Intelligence at 9. Don't use intelligence. And then faith is going to be 30. And then arcane is at 55. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for this video. If it was helpful, just do me a favor and remember to hit that thumbs up button. Again, we're trying to reach a like goal of 25 for this video. I really would appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, just definitely let me know down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Alright guys, thanks for watching.